Well, welcome guys. Well, here we are. So this is probably going to be the last video that we'll see of the Corolla Hatchback. As you guys haven't heard, if you're following the channel, the CVT Corolla transmission took a doo-doo at 20,000 miles. Now this was a big milestone for me personally because, well, one, it was my first brand new car. Two, it was actually the first car that I actually took out to do driver education with NASA. And ever since I got into that last year, I've been hooked. So ever since then, this car, you know, has been through a few events. In addition, it's my first CVT. So I've always heard horror stories about CVTs, but I was like, well, if anyone's going to do a CVT right, it will be Toyota, right? One would think. So I know the 2019 models, or well, 2018, they introduced the K120 CVT, which was the D CVT with the physical launch gear, and then it switches over to the CVT system. And I think overall it has done pretty well. They had a recall for the 2019 models, which is when they first came out. That's expected. And then the following models, the 2020. There was still a small batch, but not enough for a recall. But my car definitely fell under that that failure. So, you know, I think what happened on my car would have happened eventually, just not at a late. It would happen at a later time if I wasn't doing driver education events. So basically, what the recall was for 2019 was that you know, the torque converters were failing. So something with the transmission caused the torque converter to fail. I don't know what it is because I'm not an engineer, but as far as doing my research, what I found is, you know, the 2020 models, they actually have a new, or 2021 started a new transmission part number. So whatever they did, they fixed it, because I have not personally heard anyone with the 2021 model or newer with CVT issues or failure. So they definitely fixed it. But in my case, you know, I did reach out. You know, I started the page and I talked with 4 other owners, all with 2020s, all with hatchbacks, all with CVTs, and they all had the same exact symptoms. The car going into limp mode, stalling out while you're driving at a high speed, you know, cruise control just cuts off, going to limp mode. Yeah, and that's pretty much happened to me. So it sucks. So I, you know, when I went to the dealer, obviously told them what happened, and I did disclose that it happened during a driver education event, because I was like, didn't think I was in the wrong, because driver education is not competitive, non-racing. So I was like, yeah, I mean, they're not gonna deny because of that, and they did. That was the reason why they denied it, because it was with a NASA event. On top of that, I even had a letter to even state that I was not competing or racing in any way, but that still did not matter. Even so, I went through 2 dealerships. The first dealership just went off what the first dealership said. They didn't do anything, no further investigation on that point. They're really based off what I said. So if I did not tell them that, my car would have been covered under warranty. Simple as that. So my mistake, I guess. But still a little sour, but you know, you learn from that, you know, I mean, it's just things that you learn in life. So the last thing I could do was to file a, you know, make a case with the National Center for Dispute Settlement, or is it National Dispute Settlement Center for, I always get it mixed up. Anyways, I did a documents only hearing, and what happens is with a documents only hearing is like your whole case is all presented based off document evidence. So during this time, I did so much research on this thing, you know, speaking with different other owners with the same issues, documenting that, looking up the part numbers, showing how the part numbers are different. And, you know, after 30 days goes by, they made a decision, and the decision was that even though I proved it was a manufacturer defect and I was not misusing the car, I did not provide enough evidence that I had paid the transmission shop in full for reimbursement, which I did, but I spent so much time and research focusing and just trying to prove my point that what happened was not my fault as far as like how I was driving the vehicle. And you can even watch my hyperdrive session. And you know, I was just driving like normal. I'm not beating on it or ragging on it because, well, one, it's my primary car. I'm not gonna drive it like a race car because it's not a race car. I'm driving it to have fun with it. So the only difference literally is if you're driving on like Tail of the Dragon, you're driving on back roads and accelerating, it's a non-safe environment. Whereas if you're doing driver education, you're in a safe controlled environment, driving your car in a fun, spirited way, how you want to, because there's no competition. So that sucked. So anyway, so once they made that decision, it's, I would say July now. So I finally took it to a transmission shop, local shop, Island Transmission. So huge shout out to John there. He did great. We went through a process with that. The first transmission that came in, they were about to install it, and then it was damaged. There's a hole in the side of it. So it must have broke during shipping. So we had to send that back. 2 weeks go by. I finally get transmission number 2. That comes in, and that was throwing a K solenoid code. So then we had to send that back. So there's no way to test these transmissions until it's actually fully in the car. So it really sucks, and it's a gamble. So we had to send that one back. Once we sent transmission number 2 back, I had to wait almost another 6 weeks until the third one finally came in. Because we had to return the second one, get the refund. Once we got the refund, then we, John was, had to source and find another working transmission. We finally found one a week later. They tested it, everything was working, and then they actually had to take it out because it was still in the car. So they did confirm it was working, so that was good. So once they took it out, it took a little while to get to us, but it finally got here, and then and it's just been crazy. So a few days go by, I get in, we're saying we're on week 5. I hear the transmission's coming, and it finally gets here. We get alerts on our phone too. So when I was getting codes for the transmission, I would get health alerts. So when he installed transmission number 3, I saw the car came back online, and I saw the health alerts show up. I was like, oh crap, it's still showing the codes. I'm a little worried. And then I refreshed it 5 minutes later, and they were gone. So I was like, oh shit, okay, I think we're in the green. But it was late, it was like 5:30, so I knew he was closing up, and I didn't want to bother him because I've been emailing him back and forth, and he's always been very responsive, at John at Island Transmissions. And the next morning he emails me, said test drove the car, everything's great. So I finally picked it up, which was actually last week from today, and the car has actually been traded in. So the stressful part is this car was traded in the end of July, and it's when I got the GR86. This is my next build now. So so basically I was able to drive this around while this was still in the shop getting fixed, but now the crunch time was on me. I needed to make sure they got this car in working condition. So got it back, everything's working great. I've cleaned it up. It's kind of sad to see it go because I had a lot of good memories with it, and the CVT actually did very well, surprisingly. It went through 4 track days. So you're talking about a full track day is 4 classes, 4 sessions on track. We're talking about 15 to 20 minutes a piece, and this car did very well. Not a clue that the transmission was even on its way out, and which is why I just I was like, okay, great, this is gonna be a car I keep long term, and I can just take it out to events whenever I feel like it, and then hyperdrive comes up, and that's what happens. But other than that, it's going to be sad to see it go, and it's been a great journey, and there's still plenty of videos on this that I've archived, and that's the whole purpose of this channel, is to kind of document my experience with the cars that I deal with, and share any knowledge I can, and then hopefully someone can take that and improve on it, or or help them, give them ideas on their personal build. But yeah, so this is the next chapter. So I'm actually very excited for the GR86 build, and it's actually, I've had my first sponsor, which is Cami Speed. So huge shout out to Cami Speed, and I'm looking forward to share the build with you guys with Cami Speed as well. So that's going to be fun. But in the meantime, it's just good farewell to the Corolla and all the good memories we had, and also the very bad one that we've had. but hopefully it goes to a new owner, and it's great, and I hope they enjoy it. And you know, thank you guys for sticking with me through this crap too, and hopefully your cars are okay. But you know, I feel like each track day is the equivalent of driving like maybe 10,000 miles or so. So 4 track days, that was about 40,000 miles worth of driving mileage. So if these cars start popping around 40, 50 later on, then at least I have documented what kind of happens if it is failing. So but anyways, thank you guys again for listening. Hope you all are doing well. But yeah, just help me wish goodbye to this beautiful thing. I still love this car. Mainly the styling. I love the style. Regular gas, and it's got good, you know, good storage room in the car. It's been an all around great car, and I still do recommend it. So it's just sad to see it go, but you know, moving on, you know. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the next video. Hodai.